In this episode, I'm gonna break down 17 race day tools, tactics, and hacks. At the end, you will be equipped with everything you need to possibly run your best race time, and I'll even help you do this by giving you a free guide, cheat sheet, and 8-week training plan so that you can put all this information that I have in my brain, and I'm downloading it to yours, to use ASAP and run, hopefully, your best time. So stick around until the end and get that. But first, picture this. You've been training for 6 months to run your best time. You're working with coaches, dialed in the right workouts, showed up consistently, and the weather is looking perfect for your A race. But you want to be extra sure and have a bit of insurance so you can nail that time that you've been working towards. What's a runner to do? Well, that's where understanding what the 1% gains of the running and exercise science world could do for you and give you those precious seconds or even a few extra minutes to get that personal best. So there's a lot of supplements and quick fixes out there that claim to do a lot for you, but which ones actually work? Which ones are best for you? What races do they work best for? And how complex or expensive is it to actually take and execute? Well, don't worry, I'll answer all those questions for you and more in this episode. But first, I'm Darren D. Lake, certified running and nutrition coach, sub 3-hour marathoner, and 10-hour Ironman finisher. I've been helping other self-coach runners, researching and experimenting on how to better myself 1% each day. Unlike other running brands, we don't do inspirational and motivational quotes and quick fixes. Instead, the 1% Better Runner transforms you with small step-by-step daily habit improvements, all to help you live an amazing run life. Let's get into it. Quick warning before I start. Let me be direct. These tools are like sprinkles on cake. They only work when you've got the fundamentals, the cake, the actual cake, when you get that right first. While they can enhance performance, misusing them goes against our 1% better philosophy. I suggest you start with 25% of any recommended dose that I give you from the upcoming episode, gradually increasing by 25% daily until you reach the full amount for your needs. Stop immediately and consult a medical professional if you have any issues. Remember, this is for informational purposes only. I'm just sharing my experience and research because I'm a running coach online, so take it as you will. With that said, let's get into the framework of how I'll go through everything. This is very important because this will set up why I'm doing everything and how I do it. This is so comprehensive and such an intense ultimate guide that I wanted to make sure you really understand it all. The 17 race day tools will fall into 3 categories with some crossover at times, but the 3 main categories are behavioral. So these are things that you can do without ingesting anything, supplements, laboratory created nutrition, powders, pills, oils, liquids, etc. And then diet, normal food you can get from the store that you can eat. That's it. That's simple. The 3, behavioral, supplements, and diet. Now, each hack will have a rating based on the below. So time to do it. Some of these things need time to either saturate in your body or for your body to adapt to it. Monetary cost. Some things cost little to nothing and others cost a lot. What it does, how to use it, it's pretty self-explanatory. Why it's important for distance runners. Does it need acute use, so short term, or chronic use, long term? AKA some things will give you a performance boost within a few hours and others might take a few months. Downsides. The law of conservation of energy applies to performance enhancements, meaning there's usually a negative trade-off for every benefit. See, with the good, there's always bad. Yin yang, you got to deal with it. General complexity, how hard it is to do this in your normal day-to-day. Now, this is something I learned very quickly. It's like, this is just hard. I don't want to do this. Or, is it worth doing it? So that's general complexity. Best distance used for. Some of these are better for short bouts of like a few minutes, like a 1 mile time trial, 800 meter. And others are better for longer distance stuff, half marathon, marathon, ultra distance, etc. This will help you weed out the ones that aren't useful for your upcoming events. And the last part is the links for research and evidence-based scientific studies. Also, you can jump around to anything that interests you by using the timestamp chapters and just click on that and you can find what you're interested in or just consume this sequentially in the normal order. I have used all of these, every single one of them, and I'll give you my personal stories and pair it with scientific data, studies, and expert opinions. I'll start with the easiest thing to do on race day, and then we'll work our way through to the most complex thing. By the end, you're going to be fully equipped to crush your race day times in any event, from the mile to multi-day ultra marathons. Let's finally get into the 17 race day hacks. Number 1, caffeine. So that's the thing. Category, supplement. Time to do it, 5 minutes. 1 to 2 hours before the race. Monetary cost, low to medium. What it does for distance runners. This stuff wakes you up and makes the miles feel less painful by blocking that hard effort feeling. How to use it. Pop 100 to 200 milligrams from 30 to 60 minutes before a long race or event. Start low to see how you can handle it. I don't handle caffeine nearly as well as most people, so I actually can really only do 50 to 100 milligrams. I learned that the hard way. Some people might be able to do 300 milligrams. Why it's important for distance runners. Contrary to popular belief, caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It sharpens focus and delays fatigue, so you can push harder when running on empty. Acute versus chronic use, it's acute. The downside, jitters if you take too much or you're sensitive like me. Heart rate spikes. Don't rely on heart rate data too much on race day if you're heavily caffeinated. You'll see that your heart rate is hovering 10 to 20 BPMs higher than it should be. The general complexity, it's pretty low. It's pretty easy to do it. You just take it in different forms. Best distances, 10K to marathon. Other notes, so caffeine, cycling, going off of it for a week to get a big boost on race day. You take it race day after you haven't taken it for a week. That has been debunked. Just use your normal amount that you normally do and bump it up for race day. I will have some notes and research links on caffeine for endurance performance below in the show notes, or you can check out that free PDF and downloadable guide and training plan. All right, so we just talked about caffeine, but what if you want the focus and energy without jitters, crashes, or stomach issues like throughout your normal day in your training life? Well, that's where I started experimenting with Magic Mind, a tiny nootropic shot, this thing right here, designed to give you steady, dialed-in energy. Let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. I tested it both during long runs, so in the middle of my long run, I pop it, no issues. So doing this whole 17 race tools, tactics and all that, and I was able to stay absolutely locked in, no shaky hands, no anxiety, no gut issues, just smooth focus during my runs and during all this content creation. The science behind it, matcha for sustained energy, lion's mane for focus, and Cordyceps mushroom for endurance, which I'll be talking about later on in this episode. So if you want to try it out, get 20% off and 48% off a 3-month subscription. Go to magicmind.com/DLake20, that's DLAKE 20, and you'll get free US shipping if you're in the US with your subscription. And if it's not your thing, they'll even refund you. No questions asked. Let's get on to the next key race day tool. Number 2, race predictor test. So this is under behavioral, as we're starting with behavioral. Time to do it, 30 to 60 minutes periodically. Monetary cost, I'd say low. It's probably free. What it does for distance runners, it's like a sneak peek at race day, pushing yourself in a test. Race shows where your fitness really stands. How to use it, do this 2 to 3 weeks before your race to see if you're on track. Race at your expected race pace to gauge performance. There's a lot of different race predictor tests out there. I like Yazoo 800s for half marathons and marathons. I like doing, you can do 3 by 1 mile if you're doing 5Ks, or you could do 5 or 6 by 1 mile if you're doing 10Ks. So 1 mile is about 1,500, 1,600 meters. For shorter distances, you can do 400, you can do 800s. So there's all these different ways. You shorten up the rest, etc. This is not an episode on that. You can Google that stuff. Hit me up if you want to know how to do it. Why it's important for distance runners. If you want to avoid nasty surprises on race day, this test helps you adjust and fine tune. No more guessing games. This is acute use, so short term, obviously. Downsides, fatigue. Be mindful of scheduling it so it doesn't wreck your training cycle. General complexity, I'd say medium overall. It's a bit vague, but it is hard to do. Best distance, all distances. Other notes, it's not easy, but it gives a realistic estimate of upcoming race times and helps you with your strategy and pacing. You can use the V-Dot calculator, which I did an episode up here. Check the links for the V-Dot calculator, or if you're listening, go in the show notes or just search D-Lake V-Dot calculator and you'll be able to see that episode on that. It's great. You can plug in whatever interval paces that you've done in your training or your current race or last race, and then you can get a prediction or what your training pace should be. You can update those. The last note about the race predictor test is that I've found, and from some research and studies that I've seen, you should do this about 9 to 12 days before your main race, so that 1, you can get the recovery from it, and 2, you can actually get the performance benefits, because when you stress yourself right after, your body gets a bit weak and then it gets strong again. So 9 to 12 days seems to be about the range. Number 3, proper taper. So this is still behavioral. The time to do it, you want to do it 1 to 3 weeks out from your race. It's low cost. Obviously, you're just tapering. What it does for distance runners, it pulls back your volume, mileage, kilometers, but keep your intensity. So you're fresh, but not sluggish when it's go time. And you need to do kind of a sunset ramping, and I'll talk about it in a second. So drop your volume 1 to 3 weeks before the race. This is how you do it, but keep some fast, snappy sessions. Don't overthink it. Less is more. Why it's important. Tapering gives you that perfect balance of rested but ready. Too much rest equals flat legs. Too little, obviously burned out. Acute versus chronic use, it's acute. A downside is potential loss of fitness if overdone, and the paranoia about feeling lazy. So the way I would do it is, let's say, I'm doing a marathon, which I've got coming up. I would do a 2 to 3 week taper. So 3 weeks out, I would drop down 80 to 90% the volume. So if I was doing 100 kilometers a week, 60 miles a week, I drop down to 80 kilometers a week, or that would be 50 miles a week. Then the second week out, it would be about 65 to 75%. Then the third week out would be 50 to 60%. And that would be your race week. So you have to calculate, obviously, the race. I wouldn't count that in. It's more like the training sessions beforehand. And it's okay in this taper week to take an extra day off and just do nothing or light stretching. General complexity is medium because you need to figure out what your body likes. Some people don't like too much of a taper. Some people need a lot of a taper. I personally love the taper. I really, really need the taper. The best distances for taper, I'd say all of them. But I found that probably some 10K people, definitely half marathon, ultra, get the best benefits out of a taper. And some kind of side notes: embrace the energy that you get, the extra energy, trust the process. Your fitness, your Strava will say your fitness went away. I promise it did not. So there's some links for the research on taper that I will have again in the downloadable, the free downloadable. Number 4, high quality sleep. All right, so this is behavioral, obviously. You can do this. There's no drugs you need to take. It takes 8 to 9 hours daily to do. I'd say 7 to 9. I'm actually a 7.5 hour sleeper. I'm fine right there. I'm on the lower end, and I found that I'm good. Monetary costs, low to high, depending on your sleep setup. Some people need a lot of stuff to sleep. What it does for distance runners: your body heals, repairs, and restores during sleep. No sleep equals no performance. It's very simple. How to do it: aim for 7 to 9 hours, especially before and after heavy volume and hard, fast sessions. So why it's so important for distance runners: sleep is your secret weapon. Free, effective, and crucial for recovery without trying, because you gotta sleep. Everyone sleeps, so you might as well optimize that. What is it? It's a force multiplier. That's what sleep is. So if you get 1 extra hour of high quality sleep, you will feel and perform 10x better in running in your life. So why not optimize for that? General complexity, medium to high, because sleep is, a lot of people are like, yo, sleep's hard. You got to figure it out. It takes practice to sleep well if you don't already. Best distance, all distances. And pro tip: if you do the crime, hard training, you got to do the time, sleep. If you get this right, your entire life gets easier and you'll run faster. So there's so much research. Matt Walker's book on why we sleep is a great place to start. I did an episode on sleep, rest, and recovery. You can get a link somewhere up here or in the show notes or video description below. Number 5, a resistance band. So I'm going to let the co-host of this show sometimes, Mike Trees, aka Run.Energy on Instagram, who's got almost 500,000 followers. He's an ex-pro runner and triathlete, and he coaches people at very high levels. He's amazing. He's done it all. He's been running and coaching for the last 50 to 60 years. This is his take on the resistance band.
I don't believe in hacks. There's no shortcuts. So I'm an anti-hack guy. Ankle bands, these are stretch bands that activate the glutes, the leg muscles, and they're a great warm-up tip. I've been using to strengthen my glutes, actually. Glute, the biggest muscle in the body, also the laziest, tends to switch off. And I find a lot of runners will actually run without using their glutes. They'll sort of fire from the hamstrings. So I put ankle bands on, lighter than normal, as a warm-up before the race. This activates all the muscles I'm going to use when I'm running, and ensures that I run really well. I'll use the bands about 15 minutes before I start running. Try and get it as close as I can to the start, just so the muscles don't switch off again.
If you don't do it, you feel like you might do a 5-second less PB?
Possibly 30 seconds over 5K for me at my age. I've experimented a lot. I do a lot of park runs, and if I don't do it, the muscles aren't warmed up, they're not firing, and for me, I found it works. So it's an experiment of one on me. I know it works for me. I've got a lot of experience. I'm convinced it'll work for other people as well. I have a few friends that try it and like it, but I don't have any documented evidence to say this will save you 10 seconds, 15 seconds or whatever. It won't harm, and I'm pretty sure it'll help you on a little bit quicker.
All right, so this is a lot to take in. We're only on number 6 coming up, and you're probably like, yo, Darren, I just want to get started on something, man. Don't worry, I got you. I've created an easy to read table, spreadsheet, PDF with a checklist, a quick start guide, and mega bonus, an 8-week Don't Start Your Race So Fast free mental, mindful running training plan. Yes, most of us suffer from starting either too fast or too slow, which is me. I always do the slow side of things. This training plan will hopefully fix that. All of this is free because I love helping folks out in the world. Just scan the QR code right here. Click the link in the show notes if you're on your podcast player app, listening to it, or the video description below. Bonus, you'll automatically get signed up for more deep dives like this into consistency habits and incremental self-improvement for all the smart self-coach runners out there. So it's the email newsletter that you'll get, and it comes about once a week. Let's get back into it. Number 6, hydration and electrolytes. This is obviously things that you consume now, liquid and electrolytes, which can be pills and also powders. Diet category, time to do it. It's ongoing. It should just be all the time. As long as you're training, you always need this stuff. Monetary cost, low to medium, depending on what you get. What it does for distance runners: without proper hydration, your muscles are like a car with no oil. Expect to overheat and break down. And with hydration is also electrolytes, proper electrolytes. So how to use it: sip water with electrolytes before, during, and after long races, especially in hot conditions. Or, as I like to do, I take a pill. The pills, they might take about an extra 30 to 45 minutes for it to hit your stomach and then kind of disperse and dissolve into your stomach. Whereas if you take it mixed into a powder form, so Gatorade's fine, you know, or sports drink, or if you just want electrolytes by themselves as a powder, like LMNT is a big one everyone's taking, or you just get them in your gel, etc. It doesn't really matter how you get them. You could even just use table salt. Table salt, the problem is it doesn't have the range of other electrolytes like potassium, magnesium, calcium, and a few others. Why it's important for distance runners: I think anecdotally in the past there was this theory that it helped prevent cramps, but now it's more that your muscles are actually like involuntary firing. It's not really cramping, and electrolytes do help with it, but they don't prevent them if you haven't ran the distance. Electrolytes are more about helping keep your body cool and your muscles firing. So that's hydration and electrolytes. I'm kind of lumping them all together. Acute versus chronic. This is going to be chronic use, so you need to use this all the time. Downsides: potential overhydration. Too much water can flush out electrolytes, so you need to make sure your electrolyte balance is good with your water. You do not need to overdrink. You should hydrate 24 to 48 hours before your main event and then sip to thirst a couple hours before. You should not be peeing clear right before the race if you can, and during the race. I did that in my Ironman, and that actually was one of the reasons why I struggled in the run part of my Ironman. But we won't get into that. It's a story for another day. General complexity, I'd say medium, because you need to figure out what your electrolyte and hydration kind of balance is, your sweat rate and all that, which takes a while. Best distances, I say getting the hydration right is for all, but really half marathon, marathon, ultras. The higher up you go, the longer you're out on the road. So other notes. So I've got a cool little hack. You should stop drinking your liquids 2 hours before the race to avoid having to go to the bathroom right before the race and during the race. Yes, you'd be like, 2 hours is too long. No, you're absolutely fine if you hydrate it up the day or two before the race. A lot. And all you need to do is just drink about 1 liter, which I think is a quart in American. I'm American. I still don't even know American. So yeah, about 1 liter / 1 quart-ish up to 2 hours before your race. Maybe a little bit less, depending on how big you are. So then you will pee about 2 to 3 times before your race, and you can sip to thirst in that 2 hours to race mark. You will not die of thirst during the race. I promise you. You can have water during the race, but you won't be peeing out during the race. That's the amazing thing. And you won't have that imbalance of water and electrolytes. Let's get into number 7, dial in your nutrition. So this is a big one because everyone is different. This is obviously diet now. We're going out of behavioral into diet in these next few. Time to do it ongoing because you got to eat, because you're a runner, you're human. Monetary cost varies in a lot of places. So I'm not even going to say it's low to medium. I think you can be smart and find some low to medium costs, but don't skimp out on quality and quantity, because you will pay for it. What it does for distance runners: you're not racing on willpower. Fuel is everything, and the types and the macros you get, the protein, the carbs, and even the fat, depending on if you believe in keto and you think keto's the way, et cetera, et cetera. I won't say too much about that, but keto, if you haven't really done it for months on end, isn't the best way, or low carb isn't the best way to do a long distance event. Feel free to flame me in the comments if you disagree. Good nutrition keeps you from running out of gas, point blank. How to use it: eat balanced meals. Again, carbs, protein for recovery. So carbs for energy, protein for recovery, and fats for long-term fuel. And it also transports vitamins around to your organs and through your blood, etc., into your muscles. Why it's important for distance runners: hitting the wall, it just sucks. The right nutrition prevents that dreaded halfway crash. It's obviously chronic. You need to use it all the time. Downsides, meal planning, prep takes time, and it can be a pain for some. And it's just easier to just go to McDonald's, Macca's if you live in Australia here, and you just go, let me just get the, junk food crap or 7-Eleven, whatever. And that's not the best quality. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes to get just the sugary, fatty, whatever, but it's usually not in the long term. General complexity, I'm going to say medium to high on this because food is some serious business. Best distances is probably, I'd say, half marathon, just getting there. If you're running fast half marathon, if you're running a longer half marathon, if you're out there for 2 hours plus, definitely marathon, definitely ultra. You can get away with a pretty average diet if you do 10K, 5K, 1500. You just got to make sure you kind of just eat normal and you get your normal amount of carbs. You're not trying to do some silly diet right before the race. So other notes, carbs are king. I'm going to say that. I don't believe it. Science has said it. Aim for simple carbs, white rice, white bread in the 48 hours before long races. The longer your race, try to get simple carbs in, and you can stay away from the complex carbs and the fiber and the veggies, and you can stay away from fats 48 hours before the race. And junk food, while it might be high in carbs, like pizza, burgers, what do they call them? Hot chips here, potato chips, French fries, etc., even candy and all that. But even some candies are loaded with fats and oils. So if you want peak performance, I'd say stay away from the junk food as much as you can. 10 to 20% of your meals can be junk food, but the day or two before race, stay away from the junk food, please. Your stomach will thank you. Number 8, creatine. So now we're getting into supplements. So we're out of behavioral, we're out of diet, we're getting into supplements. Time to do it. It's less than a minute daily. Monetary cost, I'm going to say low because a bag of 1 kilo bag, or what's 1 kilo? 2 pound bag of creatine is going to cost you very little per serving, which I'll get into the serving size. Is very small compared to the other protein powders out there like whey protein and collagen and all the other protein. What it does for distance runners, it keeps your ATP, which is your energy currency, topped up at adenosine triphosphate. And there's different names for it, but that's actually what is the energy source and get your muscles to fire. It's so that you don't run out of gas halfway. And here's a kind of quick sciencey run science little tidbit factoid is when you hit the wall, you actually aren't producing ATP efficiently. While you might have the carbohydrate stores in, there's actually a lot of reasons why you actually are not able to lift your foot as fast as you did, back 5-10 miles ago. How to use it. Take 3 to 5 grams daily, every day. It's a long-term game, so keep at it. If you're a bigger person, taller, you could do 6 to 7 grams, 8 grams. Some people like to do a bit more. I'd say start low and slow. If you are a smaller, skinnier person, women, you might be okay with anywhere from 2 to 4 grams, depending on a lot of things. See how your stomach can handle it. Please start low for the first week, 1 gram, second week, 2 grams, third week, 3 grams, and then get up to about, like I said, 3 to 5 grams. The downsides, a lot of people, they end up taking 10 grams right in the beginning and then they feel bloated and they're like, creatine doesn't work, it bloats me. You gain some weight because the creatine makes you take on more water. So you do gain weight and people, again, feel bloated, but it's not actually what happens if you do it over time. That's important for distance runners. People think it's for weightlifters, but distance runners need ATP also. No energy, again, equals no forward motion. Creatine for brain health, actually, new studies over the last few years have shown that it actually helps cognitive ability. It makes you feel sharper, more crisp. Creatine just helps, and there's no downsides to taking it all the time, 5 grams all the time. You could miss a couple days here and there. You could take, a week or 2 off, but try to take it as much as you can, especially around race time. So that's chronic use. General complexity, very easy. Just get a 5 gram scooper so you don't have to think about it. Whoop, doosh. Best distance, I'd say all distances again, but definitely 5K to marathon. Anyone that does any activity, even people that are not active, can benefit from creatine. Some other random notes and ideas. Powder I found is the easiest and cheapest. You can take the pill, but is it expensive? You got to take a lot of them. It's like 6 pills to get to the 5 grams of the recommended amount, and you only get like 50 or 100 pills, so you go through them quite quickly. And like I said, they're really, really expensive. It takes a few months to saturate, 1 to 2 months to really saturate in your system. You can do higher doses if you want more muscle gains in the off season, but expect extra water weight and you'll just be higher on the scale and you might have a little bit of pudge around your stomach. That's fine. All right, going into number 9, we are halfway through. Tart cherry juice. So this is an interesting one. This is not regular cherry juice. This is Tart cherry juice. 2 different things. This is a supplement, obviously. Takes less than a minute if you got it ready. right in the little thing you got. Monetary cost, medium. What it does for distance runners, anti-inflammatory hero. It is. That reduces soreness and speeds up recovery. All right, how to use it. So it's best to drink, if you can, 30 to 60 mils, or that's 1 to 2 ounces of the concentrate. Try to get the concentrate Tart cherry juice if you can. I also take it in the pill form, so liquid or pill form is fine. I think the pill form is just easiest. I don't have to put it in my fridge. I just make sure I take it. And you want to do it right before your races, so you could do it a couple weeks before to really get that week before, especially to really make sure you're getting the antioxidants, which I'll get into what it actually does, and get the recovery proper. Or if you do regular Tart cherry juice, that's obviously watered down, you can just do a normal serving, maybe a little bit more that week before. Why it's important for distance runners: helps you bounce back faster so you can stay consistent without feeling wrecked. True studies behind all of this stuff. It's a part of War Juice. This is the first part of War Juice, and it's actually acute and chronic. So you can get immediate benefits from it, from higher recovery, but also over the long-term recovering, the chronic long-term, you actually get benefits. The downsides, the sugar content, it is high in it, but if you don't overdo it and you're already training quite hard, it should be fine. That recovery week, you probably need to carb load, I put it in parentheses, but it's probably fine for that week. I wouldn't stress about it. General complexity, I think it's quite low. The best distance, half marathon to marathon, it gets the most from it, but anyone, these are so applicable to everyone, but anyone that does anything athletic will be better served by recovering as best as they can. Make sure it's Tart cherry juice again, not regular cherry juice, because it doesn't have as much antioxidants. It just has a lot of sugar. So Tart cherry juice has way more antioxidants, like many more, like multifold, 3 to 5x, I think. And again, it's part of my War Juice blend. So start 6 to 7 days out before the race. I have War Juice episode up here. You can go check that out. It's a fun one. I'm going to go through actually the second and third part of War Juice, and you can put them together, make a little concoction about 6 to 7 days out. And let's go to number 10, the second part of War Juice, beetroot juice or beet juice. So this is a supplement. I'm going to put it under, even though it's kind of part of diet, but let's just call it a supplement. It takes less than a minute daily. Monetary cost, I'm going to say medium, because it can get expensive. I've actually started taking the pill version of this. I used to take the Beat It one. Make sure you shake it up. I'm just shaking it up, but it would be the little shot supplement, and that could get expensive. So I actually take a combination of both, and I'll do the Beat It because I know exactly what it is. It's super high in beetroot juice. I'll do it about 2 to 3 days out from my race. What it does for distance runners, let's get into the science of it. It boosts nitric oxide, which means more oxygen to muscles, delaying that gassed out, I can't go anymore feeling. It actually just delays it. Even by a few minutes, it would be huge. That a few minutes can get you a few minute best time. How to use it: drink it 2 to 3 hours before your a race or the race that you're trying to see to let it kick in. It does take that long. Why it's important for distance runners: it improves how efficiently your muscles use oxygen. It's like flipping on like a turbo switch or nitrous oxide in a way, because I mean, it is nitric oxide, it boosts it, so it is like nitrous oxide. And the people that watch Fast and Furious know what I'm talking about with the nitric oxide, that NOS. Some of the downsides, taste. Some people don't like the taste. It stains, and you end up getting red colored pee or red colored poo, which is a big one. It happens usually after a hard training session or a hard race when you're dehydrated. That's when everything is purple and dark red, and it looks like blood in your pee or your poo, but it is not. Hopefully it's not. But definitely, if you have any issues, go to a doctor. But if you've been taking beetroot juice, they'd be like, all right, it's most likely beetroot juice. Another huge thing is that you need to avoid antibacterial toothpaste, which is pretty much all toothpaste unless you're a little baby, 30 minutes before or after you take it, because it kills the nitrates. So it even if you like make sure that you like shoot it in the back and you brush your teeth, you don't have any toothpaste go in the back of your throat, it might seep back. Just don't even mess with it. They negate each other. So either wait to brush your teeth or brush your teeth and then wait. I'd say even closer to like 45 minutes sometimes if you can. General complexity, I'm going to say medium, because getting the right beetroot juice that has the right amount of nitric oxide is really, really hard to do, because no one really knows the ripeness of the beet. So you just kind of just need to use a lot of it, and it gets a bit messy with exactly what it is, and then getting the high end one and all that. So that's why I put general complexity at medium. Best distances, the shorter the bout, the better. If you do 3Ks or even 1 mile type stuff, it's really beneficial, or power lifters and all that. So short, fast stuff of a couple minutes up to 5K, there has been studies showing that half marathon and marathon is benefit, but the longer the actual event, the less you get the benefits out of beetroot juice and the nitric oxide, just FYI. I've got a whole bunch of science and data and more on beetroot juice with that download that goes into detail with the spreadsheet and everything and the plan. Make sure you get that. So that's right in the show notes below or video description. Number 11, Cordyceps mushroom. I always want to say Cordyceps mushrooms, but it's not. This is a supplement. It takes less than a minute. This is the third part of the war juice. Monetary cost, it is medium to high. You can get some high quality ones in bulk if you want to get the dried ones, but I personally like the liquid, and I'll talk about which liquid you can get with that, or you could do the pills. So pills, powder, liquid, but I found that the liquid is the best from my research and my studies. What it does for distance runners, increases your body's ability to use oxygen efficiently so you can keep going when others fade out. How to use it: daily supplement for long-term benefits because it needs time to build up. It does take a few weeks to 1 to 2 months for this to build up. I used to think it took a week, but actually you need to be doing it minimum 2 to 3 weeks out. I'd say on the safe side, do 4 to 6 weeks out every day if you can. Doesn't matter when you do it. Why it's important for distance runners: again, better oxygen use equals more miles, less effort. You're using your aerobic system longer during the race before you tap into your anaerobic glycogen stores, which is way better because that can go forever, your aerobic system. Chronic use, I'm going to say chronic because I used to think it was acute. I learned that it actually needs to be, again, over time. Downsides, none really, except potential allergic reactions. In rare case, it doesn't taste like anything. In the amount that you're getting, it does not taste like anything. You're not eating ground up mushrooms, I promise you. Like it tastes like pretty much like nothing. It's just a powder in your drink, especially if you mix it in with the war juice. General complexity, I'm going to say low, and it's best for pretty much all distances between that golden 5K and marathon distance. And yes, there is a bunch of research and links and studies on this that I will link to. This is going to be a huge one because I want to make sure that you get the facts and that this is not some random woo-woo type thing that's going to make you race fast. This is all science-backed. Number 12, Spirulina. So this is something that I go back and forth on, but I decided to put this in the list. It's obviously a supplement. It takes less than 1 minute daily. Monetary cost, medium. It's not that bad. What it does for distance runners: it fights muscle fatigue with antioxidants, and it helps your cell power plants, mitochondria, run better. How to use it: add it to smoothies or take pills daily. It's not the best taste, but it's worth it. The pills are easier, I found, than taking the actual powder, but do you if you want to have that green juice in there. Why it's important for distance runners: again, reduces oxidative stress and muscle fatigue. So this is more of a recovery thing. So you can handle high mileage and intensity without burning out in the long term. Again, this is a big recovery thing. That's why it's chronic use. Downsides: taste, some people don't like it. It does flavor things with that kind of greenish, very spirulina type thing happening. Potential contamination: you want to buy from legit sources. General complexity is low. Best distances, that beautiful range of 5K to marathon. And again, powder is cheapest, but tastes the worst. Pill form is pricier, but it's easier. Your choice. Let's get into number 13. Beta-Alanine. Beta-Alanine. I think it's Beta-Alanine. It's a supplement. So the time to actually use it takes less than a minute daily. How long it takes is chronic. It does take 4 to 8 weeks for Beta-Alanine to actually kick in and work for athletes and runners. I thought it was a couple days. It actually is a few weeks to a few months to really get it going. And it does need to saturate in your system to start buffering the lactate. There are some cases where people say it works very, very well. Other people are like, I don't know, difference. I actually saw this along with proper training that it worked really, really well. Monetary cost, low to medium. So we are getting more complex with these. I think Beta-Alanine is actually quite complex. I'm going to say it's medium to high, and I'll tell you why in a second. So what it does for distance runners: buffers lactate, letting you push through tough efforts without the burning sensation and that, oh my God, I'm going to die, your brain wants you to just stop running feeling. How to use it: take 3 to 6 grams daily. Expect a harmless tingling feeling, which is paresthesia. I said it right. I've talked about this in previous other episodes, which you can get that episode up here possibly or below. I've gone into detail on Beta-Alanine, so I won't go with a deep dive. But a huge downside, again, is paresthesia, which can be intense for some. It actually causes a bit of anxiety for me. And I found the best way to negate that is by taking 1 to 2 grams per day for the first week, then taking 2 to 3 grams for the next week. And then what you can do if that doesn't work, because that actually still didn't work for me, I ended up splitting it. So I do 2 grams in the morning, 2 grams in the afternoon. And then if I want to do 6 grams, I do 2 grams morning, 2 grams afternoon, 2 grams in the evening. It's annoying, but if you just have it all set up for the day or even the week and you just go boop right into water, it doesn't taste like anything. I found it's actually quite simple once I do that. Is it worth it? Again, general complexity, it's like, we don't know. The studies are inconclusive for distance runners. I think anything can help. I found that it really helped me in my 3K race that I did later last year, a few months ago. I don't know for the half marathon personally, but it does work for just general weightlifting. It does work for just general, just if you do power movements, you do sprints, you do strides, you do fast workouts, it will work for that. For the race, it's like, it might help you train better, which could help you race better. So this is kind of in that like murky area. Again, best distances are 800 to the marathon, but I'd say 800 to 5K is the best distance. Number 14, we're almost done. L-Carnitine. Acetyl or acetyl L-Carnitine, L-Car as they call it. It's shortened. It is a supplement. It takes less than 1 minute daily. Monetary cost, it's medium. It's not that expensive. And what it does for distance runners, it helps turn your fat into usable fuel, keeping you going in longer races. How to use it? L-Car. 1 to 2 grams daily. This actually takes 3 to 4 months to kick in. Some studies have shown 2 months, but I've heard as long as 4 months, and then you got to sustain it. So it is a chronic thing you got to keep using over and over again. Why it's important for distance runners: steadier energy from fat, which is aerobic, which you want. It will save you from using glycogen, which is the carbohydrate sugar stores, in those final miles, or at least lets you stay aerobic longer in your racing. And it also boosts brain function, especially the L-Car acetyl helps brain function. Why not? Why not be a better human in your life? Because you're not running all day long. Why not use this? Creatine and acetyl L-Car does work very well for the brain. Downsides: there is GI discomfort. I've read. I have not experienced it. I've taken it in the powder and the pill form, and I've had no issues. Possible interference with thyroid hormones long-term. So if you have any thyroid issues, please consult a physician if you want to use this, or just don't use it. You don't have to use it. General complexity, low, because you just pop it, the powder or the pill form. Best distance, marathon to ultra. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put a half marathon in there because half marathon is very similar to marathon as far as energy systems used, but half marathon, marathon, ultra, because it's just all aerobic. If you want more information on that, check the link in the show notes or the video description below. Number 15, CBD oil. All right, we're getting to the last two. It's obviously a supplement. Less than 1 minute daily to take it. I'd say monetary cost, you get into the medium to high. Definitely if you want high quality CBD oil, medical grade type stuff. What it does for distance runners, it reduces inflammation and helps muscle recovery. So you're not too tired, too sore after those long, big days and weeks of training, because you need to be able to recover from the hard work that you do. That's what your body does. It actually breaks down and then it builds itself up, and it's usually trying to make itself better. How to use it: use daily or post-race for recovery, post-hard workouts. Start small to gauge the effects, and then you can kind of ramp up as you need to. Why it's important for distance runners: it can, from some accounts, help tame soreness, speeding recovery, because it allows you to sleep better. That's the big one. It allows you to kind of recover, chill out, and get better, higher quality sleep. That's where CBD oil is kind of the magic in all that. Again, chronic use, I'd say you need to be using this as much as you can. Definitely 1 to 2 weeks before the race. Downsides: you can have potential interactions with medication. Quality control is inconsistent, so use reputable, high quality brands. I've had some like CBD mints and peppermints, and taken it. I was like, this is just sugar. And I've taken some gummies, and I was like, this is just sugar, from one of the dispensaries out, and I was in LA, and I was like, yeah, you need the oil. Another thing is that there's legal issues with access depending on your region you are in the world. Obviously, a lot of places in the US, not everywhere in the US, it's legal. I think Canada, it's legal. UK, I don't know. I think it is legal in the UK. Here in Australia, it is not, but you can get it medically. And New Zealand, I don't know. So I'm just trying to think. Europe, don't know. Check where you are. High quality oils are best. Gummies, I don't think they have enough CBD in them. You're just eating sugar at that point. And again, it helps you get deeper, better, high quality sleep. It's not a direct sleep aid though. It just allows you to get into better sleep and go to sleep faster, stay in deep sleep better, which is high quality. Number 16, bicarb/baking soda. Okay, we're rounding it out. This is a supplement. This is an interesting one. This is one that I have been messing with for a bit, And I went from loving it to hating it to loving it. And I'll tell you why. All right. So the time to do it is about 5 minutes pre-workout. So when to do it is another question. I found to do it 2 to 3 hours before your main event, your main race or training session, to really let it hit your stomach and then go into your bloodstream and then do its magical goodness. Monetary costs, low to high, depending on some factors. I'll tell you why. What it does for distance runners, it buffers lactate so you don't feel that burning fatigue so early, and your body and your brain don't want to quit. How to use it. So this is really, really, really key. 0.2 to 0.3 grams per kilogram body weight about 60 to 90 minutes before. Because I don't want you Americans to mess this up, this is in the American standards, it will be 0.091 grams per pound to 0.136 grams per pound. And if you're on ounces, that's 0.0032 ounces per pound or 0.0048 ounces per pound. Yes, just use grams, way easier. The difference between 0.2 and 0.3 is huge. 0.2 is for beginners. 0.3 is like you are going to the toilet multi times before your race and ruining your race, or even during. You're like, oh my God, I can't handle this. And I had to deal with that because I went straight from 0.2 to 0.3 thinking I could handle it. And my body's like, no, I can handle like 0.23 grams. Yes, it is. I'm measuring it on a scale like I'm a drug dealer. It's a acute use. So it is not a saturation thing. You have to use it right before, like I said, 2 to 3 hours before your event. You can practice with it, but practicing isn't going to give you the gains. You got to do this before. And there are legit studies that this stuff does work. Some downsides, because there's many to this. Major GI stomach issues if you go overboard. And that overboard is, it's like the range is this much. So this much is perfect. This much is overboard. Can ruin your day. Like I was actually on the toilet multiple times that day. I was like, oh no, when I went too high. Please, you need to start low and then testing your training, and then you can slightly go up, but see if you even can handle it and then see what happens. I wouldn't even stress, because it's not worth ruining your whole day. I wouldn't even stress trying to go too much higher. Best distance is 800 to 5K, so it's up to 25 minutes effort. There is some anecdotal evidence that people are seeing gains in the 10K half marathon and full marathon, and that cyclists are doing time trials up to 60 minutes and seeing gains. That hasn't been proven via science yet, so I'm going to be a bit skeptical of it. If you're doing the shorter races, this is great. I do know of someone that does this for marathons and they think that it works, but because the reason why it doesn't work is because you're not actually producing as much lactate if you run a marathon correctly, or if you're back of the pack marathoner. Maybe the fast marathoners and half marathoners are seeing it because they're actually going so fast and so hard that they are producing lactate, but the slow marathoners actually aren't producing enough lactate to where they're going to see a huge difference. Do as you will with that information. One other thing, there is a company that's making this so that it actually is okay on your stomach, and Mortine is the company. I can't access it here in Australia, and I have a feeling that a lot of people outside of America and UK and Canada can't access it. So I'm pissed because they won't sell me this one thing here in Australia, but they sell all their other stuff, their gels and all the other things here in Australia. So I ended up making my own of this, and I ended up making the Mortine version because I was just doing the bicarb soda, which is baking soda, and I was doing that by itself, just in water. Horrendous. I was trying lemon juice. I was trying all these different things. And then I realized I actually reverse engineered Mortine's, or Morton, however you want to say it. I engineered their product and I actually figured out how to do that. And I may do an episode in the future on that. So if you want that, if you want me to show you how to reverse engineer the Morton's, which is super expensive too. I think it's like 15 US per serving, 15 or 20 US per serving or something, maybe even more. And I'm like, is it really worth it? So I ended up doing my own and it worked really, really well. And Mortine did something really cool where they buffered the bicarb soda. You're buffering the bicarb soda so it doesn't hit your stomach and mess it up. More on that in the future, but I think this is kind of a game changer if you get it right. And I saw some crazy gains, but I also didn't want my guts falling out 2 minutes before the race. Do as you will with it. And the last one, sauna. This is behavioral. So the sauna will take 45 to 60 minutes to do it. And when to do it, you need to do it 2 to 3 times a week. And I'll get into a bit more of how to actually execute this the right way via a protocol that I found. So monetary cost, I'm gonna say high because not everyone has access to a sauna. It's also a pain. General complexity, it's high. It is a pain to get to a sauna unless you have a Swedish, Finnish sauna outside your house or inside your house, trying to go to a gym or a place, a wellness center that has one, and you got to time this, and I'll talk about the timing. So what it does for distance runners: activates heat shock proteins and boosts red blood cell count, improving endurance and heat tolerance. So this is actually improving endogenous EPO. EPO is what Lance Armstrong and a lot of the runners and cyclists are getting hit with doping, or they used to. It's some new stuff now. And EPO can be taken in exogenously from other places, or your body can produce it endogenously, therefore making it legal. How to use it. So again, 30 to 60 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week, build up slowly. And this is the way that I found that works for me. And some studies back this up. So you need to do it for 7 straight days to kind of build up a tolerance and to build up a saturation, for lack of better words. So your body is producing the heat shock proteins, etc., the EPO. So you do 7 straight days. You want to do it ideally after a workout or when you are dehydrated, or both. So right in the morning is great, or right after a workout, because, and particularly a hard or long workout, because you're dehydrated. You need to be dehydrated. You want to go into the sauna and not drink immediately. And you can sip. You can sip, that's okay. But try not to just drink a whole bunch, because that will actually negate some of the effects of being in that heat. You need to use Swedish Finnish dry sauna. Wet saunas do not do it. You need to get it up to 80 to 90 degrees Celsius, which is about 100 to 170 Fahrenheit, 190 Fahrenheit. I think you need to be in that range. It's dry heat, so you won't burn. Make sure you have no metal on you. Please do not bring your phone in, just meditate. And you want to get up to, if you can, 10, 15, 20-minute sessions, 25-minute sessions. Take a break, do a cold shower, do a cold plunge if you have one. If you have a cold plunge, amazing, an ice bath or a cold bath, do that for 3 to 4 minutes. Then go right back in, do a second set. Again, however long you could do it, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Take a break. For your first time, done. Maybe for subsequent times, you can do 3 sessions. So it would be 3 10 to 25-minute sessions total. That would be ideal. So you do that 7 days a week. And then all you need to do is one sauna session once per week for I've read about 8 to 12 weeks, and that will top you up. And you'll keep with the high EPO levels, and you'll also keep with the high heat shock proteins. You can then go back and do 7 days. So what you need to do is do this pretty much like 12 to 14 days out from your race. You want to do 7 straight days, and then you have 7 days to kind of like absorb all the effects of it. Yes, it is a pain, but sauna works. Sauna with the other 16 things, woo, you are flying. So some of the downsides: time commitment, heat stress. If you don't like hot, you're not going to like this. Finding a proper sauna or buying one, it's just expensive. So this is best for anyone. I'd say anyone from the 400 meters, if you're a sprinter out there, which I'm sure you aren't, 1500 meter runners, 5K runners, 2-mile runners, half marathon, marathon, ultra are going to benefit from this. Now, as I said on those other notes, I'm going to say them again. You need a real hot sauna. Don't skimp on this. Infrared does not work, and the wet steam saunas do not work. They don't get hot enough. They may feel hot, but they don't get hot enough. So sauna adaptation and red blood cell production in athletes there'll be case studies and all the science below in the show notes or the video description, or I'll actually have it in that free download. So check that out. I'm trying to have as much as I can, and I'll get into a few things to wrap this up. More on those warnings from the beginning. So if you hung out this long, you probably are like, well, what's the downside to all this? Again, these 17 tools are add-ons to a strong foundation. Don't expect supplements and quick fixes to make up for inconsistent training. Warning number 1, be race fit first. Above everything else, you need to be race fit, not just casually running, but doing structured training with intervals, long runs, progressive loading, hill sprints, strength training, etc. You need to do it all. These 17 race day kind of tips and tricks that I've given you throughout this whole episode, they give you 1 to 3% small gains, but on top of the proper training. For an hour, 40-minute half marathoner, that's still 3 minutes faster. You might be like, only 3 minutes, but that's the difference between elite or pro athletes qualifying and possibly winning races. Warning number 2, this is best for shorter races. Most research focuses on well-trained athletes in events under 25 minutes. The longer you race, the less impact these tools have. Plus, what works for elite athletes might not work for recreational runners. So again, go back to rule number 1, warning number 1. Just do the right training. That's the best thing you do. Get the right food, get the right sleep, get the right recovery, and do the training and hydration and nutrition. There you go. Warning number 3, start slow and smart. While none of these tools are dangerous, they're still forms of biohacking. Start with low doses, test during training, not race day, and always consult with a healthcare professional first if you have any issues that you know about, or even if you don't and things are kind of weird and you're like, this isn't right, just go talk to them and stop using it immediately. Keep a bathroom nearby for some of those training sessions. Trust me on this one, I have done it many times, especially with that bicarb soda. And warning number 4, use sparingly. These are race day boosters, not daily supplement. Like super shoes, save them for special occasions. They should feel like a party, and a party isn't special if it happens every day. The finish line, consistency, and the habit traps to avoid. We covered a bunch, and you'll either be inspired to try everything, turned off to try nothing, or in the middle and totally stuck. And I get it, I get the overwhelm. It's a lot, but here are a few more things you can do to make it an easier adoption period for you to try this. One big issue I found is just keeping up with all this. It's another damn thing, right? That's what everyone says. You're already training and doing the best with your life, but this is a hidden trade-off. How much of your mental capacity do you want to put into this? You don't have to do any of this, and you can also pick 1 or 2 things to focus on of the 17. Knowing what to take, how to take it, purchasing the stuff, storing the stuff, getting it out at the right time, etc., is all a mind flux, or F-U-C-K. Especially as you're getting more fatigued in your race training block, it's just too much to handle. I've been biohacking, quotes because I know some people don't like it, and playing running lab rat with myself for years, going on many decades. So this has become second nature for me to do this stuff, and I like doing it, but it took me time, and I personally think it's worth it for you to try even a couple. In the beginning, I found it best to pick 1 or 2 things to focus on per race, or even per month. If you race multiple times per year, amazing. You can try a few other things or habit stack them to make it easier to start. And I'll post on habit stacking for runners in the future. Let me know if you're interested in that. I'm only human, and I know what I know. Did I miss anything that works for you? That's a hidden secret. Throw a link in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or if you're listening, email talk@dlatecreates.com, or message me on Instagram @DLAKE-creates. And again, if you want a deep dive and get started with the stuff, I've got a free runner's toolkit that includes a spreadsheet table of all 17 race day hacks, and it goes into more detail than I went into, so you can see it all arranged in one place. A quick start guide and an 8-week training plan to fix that annoying starting too fast or too slow problem. Just get it through the QR code up here or link below in the show notes video description if you're listening to the show notes on your podcast player app. And you'll also get weekly tips about running habits and self-improvement in your inbox with all that. Thanks for rocking with me. I really appreciate your time. Peace. If you want to find out more about what we talked about in this last episode that you just listened to or watched, go to this next video right here.